Recording is set, and let's make this happen. Awesome, guys. So pumped to get going here. Let me just fix this for a second. Play slide. Awesome, guys. So welcome to the webinar. Thank you for hopping on. Totally pumped to have you guys on here. I'm testing out a new mic. You can see this massive thing. So if for some reason, that's why I'm asking you guys to make sure to message me when you come on. I want to just make sure that you're all able to hear me loud and clear. My goal is to get kicked out of the office that I'm in. So I've been working in some public places recently, and that's pretty damn easy to do. But now I'm in my Regis office, so if I can get kicked out of here, it means my energy was through the roof, and that's kind of how I roll. So thanks for jumping on, guys. I'm so pumped to do this webinar. And again, like, I got some badass questions that we're going to go through. All sorts of stuff this time. You know, last time, 2 weeks ago, I did a webinar. This time the content was all about specific to what's important to you. And I got some cool questions, man, like stuff on intermittent fasting. I got stuff on if Bod Pod is the best way to test your body fat. I got questions on CrossFit and kind of where it's going. And then I got just basic weight loss and nutrition questions. So whatever you submitted, I put on there. And I also left some time at the end to for you to add some other questions. So I got 25 questions that I actually chose, and then some others that I'll let you guys kind of if they come up throughout the content, or if anything comes up, you just let me know. So game time. So let me just set the expectations for the webinar. So I don't know about you. I don't know how many of these you go on to in nutrition, or maybe you do business webinars or whatever you do. But let's commit to just giving a full-on focus for the next about 45 minutes. What I like to do when I go on webinars is take this guy and put it on airplane mode and just dial in, because no matter who you are, I know we got some advanced people on this webinar that I think own gyms, so they know what they're doing and just checking out the content or whatever it is. To new people who fitness is totally new to them, or they're just started a program or just started CrossFit, whatever it is, there's a takeaway here for everybody. And 2 weeks ago I did one, and that's what I saw, that there's always one big takeaway. And I was talking to a guy here that owns one of the floating studios in town, and his big takeaway last time was how important sleep was and the small action steps that he can implement today to fix his sleep. So it's game time, guys. I want this to be interactive. I'm going to ask people to check in towards the end if that's something that you want to do. What happens during a check-in? It's basically just I'm going to ask you some questions. You can ask me questions. You can hot seat me on, or I can hot seat you on your fitness, and we'll go from there. So let me start out just by introducing myself. If you don't know who I am, and if you just jumped on here, and why you should listen to me, right? So fitness is full of people giving advice, and I would caution you to really hone down on a couple people to take your advice from, right? And the reason that this is valuable is because everybody is saying something different, right? So one guy is saying paleo is the best, other guy's saying paleo sucks, other guy's bodybuilding is the best way for this and this and this. And there's just so much misinformation. And it became my personal quest, my personal life mission, to weed through the bullshit and find out what truly works long term. And I used myself as a test case, and then hundreds of clients at working for other gyms, hundreds of clients at my gym, Aspire Fitness, and then hundreds of clients at my other gym, Sisu Fitness, which was more of a big box CrossFit type facility. But I have the data. And I have the proof that it worked. So, where's my background rooted in? Well, to be honest, I got two quick stories, and these two stories are why I set out on this quest to find the truth about what works. And one was I grew up in South America. So South America, totally different sports culture than the U.S. I mean, the U.S. is like a Swiss watch in terms of their competitive sports, even at a young age. It's absolutely mind blowing. And I would move back to Columbia and I'd be in the sports mode, like all in baseball, football, soccer. And I would go there and it would be totally different. Obviously, soccer was big back there, but there was no competitive kind of structure. It wasn't formal. The coaching sucked. I mean, it was just totally different. And I kept moving back and forth at these like very pivotal ages in terms of youth and sport development. And the last time I moved back, I came back here in ninth grade, so first year of high school, and I had been playing football, and I was like, I'm all in on football. Like that's my sport. That's what I want to do. Like I'm all in. And but I hadn't been here in 3 years. And so we called the coach and he's like, all right, training camp already started, but you can jump in. And I'm like, whatever, I'll make that happen. And I remember specifically getting dropped off at the school for training camp, and the team passes by, like these guys pass by, and I'm looking up at them, and I felt like they were in the NFL. J.J. Watt style guys were passing me by, and I was like, I'm in the wrong place. Like this is not high school football. This is like some next level league stuff that I shouldn't be a part of. And I realized at that point that everyone had gotten bigger, faster, and stronger while I had basically stayed the same. And I ended up not going into the training camp that day. I ended up going to the gym. And because I didn't have the confidence to walk onto that field. And that was my first moment where I said, athletically, I'm going to out hustle, out work, out gym everybody. No one's going to work harder than me to get to that point where I can step on the field. So that was number one. That was my quest for athletics and for just fitness in general, right? And then the second one was about my quest to search for the truth in fitness results. And I fast forward to college, and up to that point, I had been messing around as a personal trainer, but totally not living the lifestyle. And I remember the moment, and everyone has this moment. It's the moment where you make a decision when you hit such rock bottom that you finally make a decision to get started or to commit to something. And it could be in a relationship, it could be business, it could be fitness. And for me, the moment was it was in the middle of college, and we had rented this ridiculous house, and we were at a party, and I was a healthy guy supposedly, and I was living the life of being healthy, but not really. I was, in my mind, if I look back on it now, I was totally toxic. And I saw a picture of me without a shirt on, and that was my moment. Like I had a gut at 21 or whatever it was, maybe 22, 21. That was just ridiculous. And that was a low point for me. And some people are like, dude, you were 15 pounds overweight. And that's not what matters. What matters is that up to that point, I had been a farce in terms of my commitment to being healthy, my commitment to even training clients at that point at a young age. And I was exactly what I didn't want to be in terms of the fitness industry. So that set off my quest for the next decade to just find the truth and find the best of the best and intern with the best of the best and put my body and put other people's bodies through this experiment of what really constitutes long-term health and fitness results. And I share the story because, people see me now and they see me post stuff on Facebook and flipping tires and winning, placing in competitions and Spartan race and all that. And it's like, I worked for every one of those accomplishments. Like it did not come naturally to me, right? I wasn't a lifelong athlete, although I trained to ultimately be that athlete. It didn't come naturally. So I want to let you guys know about that, just to know who I am and kind of what drove my quest. Now, so what did this quest for the truth entail? Well, it involved a lot of traveling, a lot of brutal workouts, and a lot of learning under the best in the industry. And I put 4 kind of mentors in this picture. And the top left is Jim Jones, who, if you've seen the movie 300 and the Return of 300 and those and Superman and all that, those are the guys responsible for training those beasts. I'm one of probably, I think, 12 now fully certified instructors in the world. And I'm not going to go through all my accomplishments here. That's not what this is for. But just to give you some background of who influenced me, the guy on the bottom left is James Fitzgerald. He's a CrossFit Games Champions, based out in Scottsdale, Arizona. Runs a fantastic gym out there. The guy on the top right is Zach Evanesh, underground strength coach, just badass dude. And then the bottom right is Westside Barbell, which is the preeminent strength place in the country, and you can't even walk in there unless you squat 1,000 pounds. I'll tell you that story at another time. But the reason I share this with you is for you to know who I come from and who's influenced me, and it's basically the best of the best in the fitness industry. All right, cool. So now we're going to go into the questions, and we'll see how long each one of these takes. Again, I want to get this done in 45 minutes. And then along the way, I'm going to be monitoring your questions. If you have any for me, shoot them over, and we'll see if we can get a check-in in. So play all in, focus, ask questions, and think about what your biggest takeaway is at the end of this. And before we get started, I'll let you know just off the bat that I will be offering an opportunity at the end of this webinar for if any of this resonates with you, or you want to find out more, or you want to see how it works or what it's like to work with me. I will be offering an opportunity for a select few to jump into my Catalyst 90-day challenge. I'm not going to go through the whole program right now. We'll talk about it at the end. But if anything resonates, just let me know. There'll be a link to apply at the end, and we'll make it happen. Awesome, game time. So question number 1, and I didn't write everyone's name who submitted, so I planned on doing that, but I didn't do it, so all good. This will pertain to a lot of people. The first question is, can you gain muscle and lose fat at the same time? And this is a good one. I really like starting out with this one because it's a damn complex question. And my goal with this webinar is to take the complex, the scientific, the stuff that I can nerd out on and research reports and all this stuff, and make it simple, actionable steps for you and anybody else that you want to share this information with. So can you gain muscle and lose fat at the same time? And the answer, I'm just going to answer it with a simple yes, but. So you can do it, but it really depends on your training age. And when I say training age, that just means how long you've been doing like a certain level of fitness and gym stuff, like regularly, you know what I mean? So between 0 years to about 3 or 4 years, I would say you can. That's why you see a lot of people start CrossFit programs and they lean out and they also add some muscle at the same time because they're doing so much random shit at one time. And they're coming off the couch as well that their body just doesn't even know what to do. So one day it's a 5K run, the next day it's a max bench press. Not saying that's right or wrong, but that's where you see what we call newbie gains, right? You're new to fitness. You're new to, whenever you change something, you're going to see results. But for people who are more intermediates, I would put this to 3 to 6 years of training. And this is like real training. This is not like, walks in the park and all that stuff or like swinging like kettlebells. This is like actual training. You trained with a coach. You trained with like peers that pushed you. You did Spartan races, like higher level stuff. You won't be able to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. So what I recommend for higher level people is to block out periods of strength and periods of leaning out. All right. And it doesn't have to be the typical bodybuilding, cutting, bulking, cycling, all that. I'm in Connecticut right now. It works really well for seasonal people. So the winter is a time to do more strength train, eat more, gain muscle, gain size, gain power. When the spring starts coming out, if it ever comes out in Connecticut, that's when you do your leaning out. You cut your calories by 500 a day, et cetera, et cetera. You'll find way more results than that than if you're just kind of going all over the place with strength conditioning, calorically, and all that. So great question, and we'll move on. Look at this. We got MJ, who is on the webinar. We got a live picture of him. By the way, most of these pictures that I chose are of either current clients or former clients who are just totally badass, some probably with me. Question number 2, lose your gut. So how many times a week do I need to train to lose my gut? This is a tough one. I didn't get any insight on this person, male, female, age, and all that. And I want you to consider that the answer doesn't necessarily lie in how much you're training. So a big misconception is that we can spot train, right? That you can train your abs to look a certain way, et cetera, et cetera. So like I'll have you consider you can train 10 times a week and not lose your gut, and you can train 1 time a week and you can lose your gut. Anything gut related is going to be very lifestyle based. So just put that in your mind. Like midline, abs, gut, it's going to be lifestyle. And when I say lifestyle, that's stress, sleep, hormone optimization, nutrition, and just management of stress. All right. So tough to answer that one, but I'll shift your mindset on that and say it depends. Look at your lifestyle first before you look at your training. Boom. Question number 3. What's the best use of my time in the gym? Again, these are all relative to what your goals are, how you define fitness, what you want to do long term. But to be honest, I've been training some entrepreneurs lately who literally only have 30 minutes a day to dedicate to health fitness. And what I have them do is a combination of a compound strength movement, so squat, deadlift, press, bent over row, kettlebell work, farmer's carry, stuff like that. And then just conditioning bursts. It could be rowing sprints, sprints on a field. It could be airdyne sprints. It could be circuit sprints. That's going to be the best use of your time, obviously relative to your goals. But if you only have 30 minutes, like I got in a workout today that was 3 sets of 30 seconds all out, 30 seconds rest times 6. So it's 18 minutes of work plus rest is about 20 minutes. And I did row, kettlebells, and burpees. That's a great workout. So in general, a strength component on the front end, and then just think intervals on the back end. Sprint work, intervals, anything like that. It's gonna maximize the bang for your buck. Question number 4, how do I find workouts that apply to my situation and my goals? Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, you have to know exactly what you're looking for. And I addressed this on the last webinar that most people don't know what they want with their fitness. So they just see the biggest trend right now, which is CrossFit, or see that spinning is the hot thing. And they kind of just go to that and they talk to someone, and there's no clarity and there's no accountability and they have no idea what they're doing. So to find workouts that apply to your situation, I think you got to get clear about what you want. I think it goes back to what I said earlier. It's like, how do you define fitness? How does it look? How does it feel? What kind of stuff can you do? I mean, is it playing with your kids for 3 hours? Is it going skiing with a family? Is it doing a Spartan race? Is it looking a certain way? Is it a combination of all of those? Is it waking up enthusiastic? That's the key. And once you find out what you want out of your body, then you can start looking for someone who you're going to resonate with, right? And that could be a group setting. That could be a performance training facility. It could be a Globo gym. It could be the Spartan meetup group. I mean, whatever it is. So kind of reverse engineer the whole thing, right? Don't just try something new. Actually, let me back that up. Try something new so you get experience trying new things, but always have a purpose to why you're doing something, right? That's what creates long-lasting, not only results, but just purpose with training. Like, you're going to wake up and not want to train. That's normal for everybody, including me. It happened twice this week already, where I was like, should I go? Should I not? But when you have purpose behind it, it becomes automatic. It's a cool question. Question number 5. This is a good one. What are the 3 best movements inside the gym? That's this is a tough one. Again, super relative to where you are, but if you're going to maximize the bang for the buck, I'm going to say deadlift. Make sure you do that right. I highly recommend using a hex bar, which is a safer variation of the deadlift. But number 1, deadlift. 2, I'm going to say, so I want to do one of each kind of component. So deadlift would be my compound strength movement that's going to hit your whole body. It's going to hit everything from your legs to your chest. I mean, everything. It's just if you do it right. So deadlift, number 1. 2, I'm going to say a burpee, because it's such a flexible movement and you can do so much with it in terms of muscular endurance and conditioning. So really, really awesome movement. And number 3 is actually probably something unexpected, but one of my favorites. And it's funny that this picture is up here because it's kind of similar. Here, John is doing a overhead carry, but I was going to say a farmer's carry. And that's more like a structural grip, upper back type, mental toughness type movement, but I wanted to give 3 movements that were from different kind of areas of fitness. So it's a great question. I love it. Question number 6. The very best thing to do to not feel sluggish at age 47. So this one was cool. This one was super specific. Feel more energetic throughout the day and then some. That's a big one, man. Energy. I work with a lot of my niche basically is men in that age, and so I know what that's like in terms of what works. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is the basics. I would start looking at the basics on terms of what your hydration is like, how you're fueling yourself throughout the day, how much calories you're actually getting, and then going from there. Like if you feel low energy, then it's both a combination of lifestyle factors and hormonal shit that's just not working out right. So tough to dig super specific into this, but I would really look at food quality and food quantity. And a big thing I've noticed with guys in their 40s who are still hard charging in the career is that they don't eat enough. They don't eat enough, and what they eat, the quality just isn't right. And that's like one of the biggest misconceptions in fitness. It's like, you have to eat less to get leaner, when truly you should feel energized throughout the day. You should have level-headed energy throughout the day. And that's best. There's a question after this that's going to address this in terms of breakfast. So whoever asked that, just make sure you check that out if you're watching live or on the replay. I'll address it. I'm trying to think of other stuff that you can do for energy. I mean, to be honest, it's really going to go back to your sleep quality, how you're setting up your lifestyle and all that. It's not sexy stuff for sure, but that's going to be the biggest thing, especially at that age. Your testosterone is decreasing by 1% a year, and it's just super important to balance out. So just make sure you're not going that hard all the time you're training. Whoever asked that question. Awesome. Number 7, what are the best exercises for chest and abs? And this is a good one. I could go a lot of different directions here. The reason why I chose push-ups is because most people do them incorrectly. 2 seconds. Speaking of hydration, they're the best movement, but 99.9999999. Yes, your buddy who cranked out 300 in 4 minutes, including in the office manager who is hitting his chest against the stapler that's like that tall, have shitty form. All right. And even CrossFit gym. I've been to so many CrossFit gyms where the push-ups are horrible. And it's the best movement for the chest, for volume, for endurance, because you can hit everything, right? Got to do it right, though. You got to do it right. So that's number 1 for the chest. And the abs, I threw a kind of curveball on that one, but it's just my favorite movement. It's called the V-up. And it's basically when you're lying down and your upper body and lower body meet. Very advanced movement. Again, that's not one most people can do off the bat. But there's some cool progression. So if you have any questions about that, reach out to me or Google just V-up progressions and you can check that out. Question number 8, I can't seem to stick to any program. I have zero motivation. What's the fix? Yeah, I see this a lot. I'll have you consider that, and I mentioned this earlier, that the reason you're unmotivated is you really haven't found a purpose behind your training. So I always tell the story of a client that I had that was, I've met with hundreds of people, hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands at this point. And the initial goal is always, lose weight, tone up, do this. And it just sounds, and I say it in that voice because it sounds like somebody else is telling them what to do. It sounds like their wife says they should go get fit, or the media says that they should look this way. And that's not going to work long term. Like you have to actually want something, or the pain has to be large enough. Like if you go back to my story about the college picture where I saw myself without a shirt on and I was a fraud, you have to have a moment like that creates a switch. And it could be a health scare, hopefully not, but it could be a death, hopefully not. It could be a picture. It could be an embarrassment of taking your shirt off at the summer barbecue. It could be just waking up every day and looking at yourself in the mirror and just being like, how did I get here? So finding that moment and linking what's important to you. And it could be family. It's something. Vanity is awesome. Vanity is great for fitness, but connect the vanity to what that allows you to do. So with some of the entrepreneurs I work with, yes, they want to lose 20 pounds and they want to get rid of their gut. But what does that really mean? That means that they want to feel better about themselves and they want to be able to spend more quality time and energy with their young kids. That's what it comes down to. So when that's your why, you're going to stick with the program. I know it's some deep level stuff that you probably don't hear all the time, but it works, man. Question number 9, is CrossFit the best overall system for being lean and looking great? Oh, this is an epic one. Got to watch out how I answer this. CrossFit HQ might bomb my office depending on how I answer it. No, I'm kidding. If you know anything about them, you know that they're very let's say aggressive towards people who don't drink the Kool-Aid. But anyways, it's a great question. I owned a CrossFit affiliate, so I consider myself able to answer this question. I would say no. Not for the average person. Not for the average person. I would say it's great for a specific type of person, but the principles of CrossFit can be better applied for the average person. And that's just my take. If you want to call me a hater, it's fine. I literally was an affiliate owner for 4 years, so I've seen the best of it and I've seen the worst of it. But I don't. There's a part of it. There's a big miseducation piece with it that scares me, and that's the all-out intensity all the time for people who are already burning out the candle at both ends, which no one addresses. Like, no one talks about it. And then the second thing is there's just some movements that they do that really scare me. And the injury thing, like it or not, it's real. Like, you get people doing kipping, handstand push-ups when they can barely, do a dumbbell push press. Well, you're going to get hurt. So I think, and that's what I do with my programs, is I've extracted the principles of CrossFit and applied them in a way that I believe is more effective, safer, and with more of a strength bias to fix some of the hormonal issues. So that was a good one. Appreciate that one. Question number 10. If you were on an island and could pick only 2 movements the rest of your life, what would that be? Ooh, I didn't remember this one. This is a badass one. So 2 movements the rest of your life. You're stuck on an island. Sweet. All right. So I'm going to have to go with the kettlebell goblet squat. So kettlebell goblet squat, if you don't know what it is, it's basically you hold it up here and you do a squat. It's one of the most versatile movements. The reason I choose that, though, it's kind of a cop-out because you're able to kind of use the kettlebell for a bunch of other things. But kettlebell goblet squat and push-up would be the 2 movements that I would do for the rest of my life, and I would get jacked. I'd be on that island, castaway style, just jacked, man. I wonder, Tom Hanks, dude, he spent too much time with that volleyball, man. He could have been getting totally jacked. Question number 11. MJ again. MJ, shoot me a comment if you're seeing this, because I didn't even intentionally do this, but you're the star of the slideshow. Question number 11 is: I'm in my mid 40s. Should I be focusing on strength or cardio style training? Great question. Great question. Like I said earlier, based on the CrossFit thing, I would, dependent obviously your goals and background and all of that, I would focus on strength work with sprints sprinkled in. So maybe you're training 5 days a week, let's say 4 days a week, more typical. I would do 2 strength sessions and 2 kind of interval sprint sessions, and that should be good. Just make sure you find a balance. And I said this in my last webinar, we all love to sweat. Endorphins make us feel fucking awesome. But just be careful, because I know adrenal fatigue is like the hot topic, and I got a whole presentation I can do on that. But aerobic work will be a catalyst towards those symptoms. That's all I'm going to say. So too much intensity, too much aerobic work, when compared with strength work, and all the research I've read, will burn you out faster and harder. And strength work actually regenerates you. So yeah, I would spend probably 60% of your time on strength, and then about 40% on interval style work. How much do I eat? This was a good one. Super simple. And it's a good question. Basically, the way to answer is what's the goal? Like, do you want to gain weight? Are you a performance athlete that wants to gain weight? That's pretty rare. I work with some of them, but not a ton. Do you want to lose weight? That's mainly people's goals these days. So which one is it? And there's some really simple calculations that you can find online relative to basal metabolic rate. It's not the best, but I'll give you a tool right now that you can use. It's called MyFitnessPal.com, MyFitnessPal app, which is a really sweet app that don't take their advice on how much you should eat. All right, just do that through Google or reach out to me individually. But once you plug it in, it really helps you kind of see how much you should have. They definitely lowball their people because I've had clients on like 1,000 calories a day, which is ridiculous. So just be careful with that. But you should definitely spend a week tracking your food. It's not fun. It's not sexy. But there's a lot of insight. Just one week, I do it every quarter, just as a kind of inventory of myself. And because our habits change like quickly, right? I used to be on 4,000 calories. Now I've been with business transition, selling a business. I'm on like 2,700. Massive difference in terms of what I can expect from myself in terms of output. Question 13. We're crushing this. We're past halfway. It's about 4:30. All right. So what do I eat at breakfast? Is it really that important as people say? I'm going to say yes. And what do you eat? Meat and nuts. That's the best. If you want the best prescription, meat and nuts. You're like, dude, Tommy, that's not breakfast. I'm like, cool, man. Do you want to get your goals or do you not want to get your goals? I mean, it's that simple. The reason why I recommend meat and nuts is results. Everyone I've worked with, high-level athletes, entrepreneurs, executives, mothers, SEAL guys, whatever it is, that's always been the best prescription. So what's meat and nut breakfast? You don't have to complicate it. I don't consider breakfast. So I'll have salmon and Brazil nuts for breakfast. I'll have chicken and almonds. I'll have, what else do I have? I'll have ground beef with sweet potato and avocado or guacamole. That's the best way to really fuel yourself in the morning. Now, if you're training in the morning, it changes things. Your most important meal becomes your post-workout meal. But I would say it is as important as people say, because most people who are watching this webinar probably aren't on the high-level performance aspect of fitness. That's who's attended all my stuff. And I could get into intermittent fasting and all this stuff. And I actually have a question on that later, which you'll check out. But have breakfast and have meat and nuts. And if you're not having meat and nuts or you think that's weird, have just protein and fat. Start your day off with protein and fat. Skip the bagels, skip the muffins, unless you're trying to add weight. Skip the milk, skip all that stuff, and just focus on protein and fat. And that could be eggs and a breakfast sausage. It could be eggs cooked in coconut oil, but something substantial. And the key in that is the fat, which is going to keep you satisfied for the morning. So super, super crucial. Question number 14. What are the essential supplements? I feel like every month there is something new to add. Yeah, I got my core four essential supplements. Fish oil, 1 to 5 grams a day. Call it 3. Fish oil every single day. Make sure it's high quality. If it's from CVS, you're going to have to take 30 pills a day, and it's still not going to be good. So high quality. Number 2, vitamin D. Take it year round, even if you live in Arizona. Mike Sims. Take it year round. You don't have to have as much during the summer, but most people are deficient. You should get tested to make sure you're deficient. I have 10,000 IU. That's really high, but super important. So we got fish oil, we got vitamin D, we got protein. Post-workout, you have to have something post-workout, and protein is best. I'm not going to get into different types, but just something to have. And number 4 is my secret sauce, and that's called ZMA. And ZMA is an awesome tool for sleep, regeneration, recovery, testosterone building. Yeah, I mean, those 4 are like everything a man should want, right? So yeah, make it happen. Those are my top 4. You don't need HMB. You don't need deer antler. You don't need puma tooth combined with sheepskin. Like, dude, keep shit simple. Like, every day there's a new supplement that comes out that costs an arm and a leg. You don't need it. If your nutrition, lifestyle, and training are even 80%, the biggest change that's going to have is 0.5% in your performance. And 0.5%, unless you Usain Bolt, and that means 100-meter gold medal, then you probably don't need it. Question number 15, what should I eat directly after workout? Oh, that's good. I put these together. Look at that. That's next level organization. So after a workout, this becomes your most important meal. See, what I see people do is hit a high intensity workout and then go sit in a car for 2 hours and then finally have a meal 2.5 hours that. And that's actually doing you a disservice. Your body's just eating your muscles. You're not going to lose fat. You're going to lose muscle, and you're going to feel like shit. So what should you eat directly after a workout? I like to at least get some protein in for people. So in the form of a shake, so it's like 5 minutes after the workout, just down the protein, right? You're going to get like 30 grams, 50 grams maybe. And then after that, within an hour, have a whole meal. And it doesn't have to be this massive meal. I don't get hungry after training, but some chicken or some ground beef with sweet potatoes. Just keep it simple. So protein post-workout and then a whole meal. That's a super simple prescription, but it works. Question 16, how do you mentally prepare for a mental test? This was a badass one, by the way. Alone, such as 500-meter row, tailpipe, 300 FY, and other grueling sessions. The guy that submitted this is a badass, because that means, if he asked about this, it means he follows Jim Jones, because all those tests are kind of Jim Jones classics. Yeah, it's awesome. So to prepare for a mental test, especially alone, requires a lot of discipline, and it also requires you to really acknowledge what you're about to go through. So, because you don't have the support of anyone else, and if you give less, no one really knows, but you know. So, a really good technique that I've used for like 2K rows or 300 FY is looking at myself in the mirror. And I know it sounds weird, but just telling myself that I'm going to experience a lot of pain, like a lot of pain. I'll tell myself I'm like, you're about to go into a bloodbath, and just that acknowledgement, right? Because when you get into the workout or the test, is really what he's saying here. There's no surprises, right? There's no surprises. So when you feel that burn, when you feel like you want to quit, you've already told yourself in a calm manner that you're going to go to a place of darkness and a place where few people go. And you're going to be better for it. So that's what I've used. I've also used that with clients, and just really just acknowledging that it's going to be one of the hardest things you've ever done, but that you're capable, that you're not going to die, that either way you're going to, whether you succeed or fail in the test, you're going to have an experience which you're going to extract learning from. So awesome question, man. Out of 500-meter row, tailpipe, or 300, I'm trying to see which one I would pick. I would probably pick 500-meter row. That's like the easiest of those. 300 is probably the hardest. And if you don't know what that is, it's 300 calories in 10 minutes on an Aerodyne bike. Few people in the world can do it. Awesome. Question number 17 is, how do I increase testosterone? And I spoke about this earlier, and yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I train a lot of females too, but I like to train a lot of men. And no matter who you are, you need it, right? Obviously, men, it's one of the components of men. But starting at age 30, we lose close to 1% per year. So you can imagine by age 45 where you're at, and then by age 60, and how important that is just to to feel healthy. So 3 ways to increase testosterone today. Take your vitamin D. It's what I spoke about earlier. You can already do that. We already talked about that. Number 2, eat a lot of fat. It's been proven over and over that high fat leads to uptake of testosterone. So coconut oils, avocados, just healthy fats. I'm trying to think what else is one of my staples. I mean, I do a lot of coconut oil. Coconut variations are awesome. Palm oil might be good for you. Just high quality fats. And then lastly, training. You can increase testosterone with the way you train. Let's make a super easy example. Check out your local marathon runner. Just take your local, a random local marathon runner and pull him off the side of the road and have him take a shirt off. Then let's take someone who's only does sprinting. He's a 400 meter sprinter. Have them take their shirt off and just compare physiques. And that's just a simple way of me telling you that the way you train is going to affect the way you look. So testosterone responds well to high intensity intervals, strength compound movements, obviously strength work without conditioning if you want to do that. But it doesn't respond well to aerobic work or going for a 5-mile run or stuff like that. So just FYI, it's good to mix stuff up, but if you really want to hone down on just increasing testosterone, maybe you do a strength program for 8 weeks and only do sprints. Question 18, how many times a week should females strength train? It's a good one. I would say in our culture, it's becoming way more mainstream for females to strength train, which is awesome because the benefits for them are just as much, if not more, than the male population. I would say at least 3 hard strength training sessions a week. So 3 sessions where you're going at a high level effort, whether it's closer to your 1 rep max, 15 rep max, in between. I'm not going to get into those numbers, but 3, just do 3, and then add whatever you want on top of that. It could be sprinting, it could be cycling, it could be CrossFit, it could be classes, whatever it is. Question number 19, if I eat clean 90% of the time, will that get me ideal results? How about 95 to 100? Yeah, this is a good one. So the answer is it's going to give you some badass results, like no doubt. If you eat 90% clean, you're going to get some great results. I will have you consider, though, that it's not worth it as you get into 95 and 100%. Like the results from 90 or even 85 to 90 to 95 to 100 are just not that great. And I have a real story about this. Is I did strict paleo for 1 year. When I say strict paleo, is I did not have one cheat, not one like slither of non-paleo. And the reason I did this is because I wanted to test it out. And to be honest, the body composition changes weren't that great because my body had become used to being in such a low carb state that your bodies are amazing at adapting, right? So it wasn't worth the intensity. I mean, I couldn't even go on a date, I mean, it was horrible. I was dating a girl at the time and I couldn't have anything. She thought I was a freak. But it was classic. So, but I wanted to do the experiment so I could answer this question. So 85%, 90%, that's where the sweet spot is. And there's actually big benefits in taking 1 meal a week and doing a carb kind of refeed, which can be called a cheat day. I don't like calling it a cheat day. I actually call it cheat meal, not cheat day. That can actually get your results faster. And the easy way to explain it is that your body's getting used to eating the same exact way for 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is, and you create a pattern interrupt, right? And when it tries to get back to where it was, that's where the results are made. That's a really, really dumbed down, like children's version of what happens. But I would consider it. So I wouldn't do 100% unless you're like a physique competitor, because you'll have no life. And I wouldn't even do 95%. I think 85% is realistic for you to have a life, and also to find that sweet spot between results and just being able to have one meal a week that you like. Question number 20. We got 5 to go. Badass. We are crushing this, and I still haven't been kicked out of this place. I'm probably not loud enough. So question number 20 is, I'm exhausted between 2 and 4 p.m. What tools do you have to fix this? Anyone else share this? If you share this conundrum, why don't you type in the box? So first thing is knowing that this is not bad, that this is normal. Like circadian rhythm is your body's natural clock. So we're all going to feel a dip at that time based on where the sun is, what time we woke up, all that stuff. So, but at the same time, I've seen people get into a debilitated state at that time. And I'll be honest, my energy at 6 in the morning, I'm like jet fuel on fire. And then as we get into the afternoon, I'm way, way lower. And I just know that's my natural energy. But specific tools to fix that, let me give you 5. And some of these might be practical, might not be practical. Number 1, power nap. If you can get 15 to 20 minutes of a nap, do it. I know in the States, this is kind of like frowned upon. But I'm pretty international, travel a lot. And even though a lot of countries have changed, it's still embedded in a lot of societies, and there's a reason for it. So a 15 to 20 minute power nap, all you need to reset, you'll be good with that. Number 2, I would say, is just make sure your hydration is on point. Like that's dehydration. I'm talking a lot right now, so my mouth is just like naturally like getting drier, and I can feel my energy just going down. You know what I mean? So dehydration is super huge, and most people don't realize it until it's too late. So minimum half your body weight in ounces. But if you're an athlete, dude, like double that. You should be having a gallon a day. If you're any performance training, gallon a day, no questions asked. Number 3, what's another good tool? Have enough fat. Have a fat kind of go-to. So coconut butter is my favorite kind of tool for this. For people who work in an office like this, you keep it in the fridge or you can keep it on your desk. 2:30 p.m., you're starting to get hungry, you're starting to get tired, after lunch, drowsiness, have a couple spoonfuls of that, you're good to go. And I'll add number 4, MCT oil. So this type of fat gets digested a different way than anything else. So basically what it means is that it goes right into your body as instant energy. So that's a really good tool. And then lastly, I would see when you're training, because I am a huge proponent of training in the morning for most people because of their circadian rhythm. And depending on when you're training, you could have some issues. You could get really exhausted in between that time. And I find people that train late, so later, like at night, like 5, 6, 7 p.m., or more tired during this 2 to 4 p.m. time frame than people who train in the morning. So those are kind of 5 insights. Of course, I'd have to go way deeper into it with you. Question number 1, how do I structure effective workouts with minimal time? Kind of spoke about this earlier. If you have 30 minutes, I would basically I would really actually, and I know I answered this before, I would pick one kind of goal for the session. So 30 minutes is not a lot of time. I mean, I take 20 minutes to warm up. I would just, do a pure strength routine, like deadlift, bent over row, pull-ups, and plank. 30 minutes, get in, get out. Or do pure interval training, do 30 seconds on, 90 seconds rest on the rower for 20 sets, see how far you can go. Or do a circuit, do 5 rounds with rest in between of increasing burpee, pull-ups, and kettlebell swings. Pick one thing, because I think I spoke about strength and conditioning earlier, but 30 minutes is just not enough time, and you're kind of going to get kind of shitty at everything, because you're not, first of all, you don't have enough time, and the quality of the work, because you're doing 2 things, won't be as good. So if you only have 30 minutes and you're able to work out 5 times a week, depending on your goals, do 2 heavy strength sessions or 3 heavy strength sessions, and then the other ones are sprint and interval work. I think that's a really good prescription. Question number 22 is intermittent fasting. All right. So I'm interested in intermittent fasting. I'm a 34-year-old professional with a hectic travel and family life. Is it for me? Really good question. I like IF. I've explored it a lot. I actually haven't done it on myself as much as I would like. It's one thing I haven't done too much. I've done it a couple times, and I'm actually thinking about doing it again this summer, just for that reason alone, to kind of refresh on the prescription. But it's great for the right person, and what I mean by that is I don't do it with new people. I think it's more of an intermediate prescription, someone who understands training, someone who understands nutrition. But I will say it's very good for someone like this who has a hectic travel and family life. Why? Because your feeding window goes from this big to this big. And if any of the performance athletes on here know, dude, I spend so much time thinking, planning, eating, like anything related to eating consumes hours of my day. So if I can get rid of that, and I'm a busy entrepreneur or someone who travels all the time, it could be a really good prescription. The other note on that is don't expect to like gain muscle. And I've heard it, you can gain muscle on intermittent fasting. And that might be a fact, but don't expect anything crazy. So I think it's going to be negligible. Intermittent fasting, from what I've seen and all the applications that I've seen with clients and whatnot, is really a protocol to lean out. So if that's your goal, then it might be in line with, it might be a wise choice. But play around with it. It's cool. You'll wake up and you'll be like, wow, I actually don't have to go eat right now. It's awesome. Question number 23 is a good one, and it's who has influenced you the most in the way you program and coach? What do you try to do differently than other fitness professionals? Yeah, it's a great question, and I spoke of it earlier. Obviously, Jim Jones is a massive influence. James Fitzgerald, CrossFit Games champion 2007, the smartest guys in fitness, massive influence. Westside Barbell, massive influence. This guy right here is Rick Scarpula, a massive influence. Really taught me how to train like an athlete, and especially up here mentally. So the influence I have are so expansive. Zach Evan-Nash, I mean, all these guys, right? But the second question is, what do you try to do differently than other fitness professionals? And two things on that. It's pure authenticity and enthusiasm. Like, I love what I do. I once had a client recently, actually. She complained. She started training with me, and she said, I can't work with you anymore. And I said, oh, that's unfortunate. Why? And she had too much energy. And I was like, oh, that's I've never heard that one before. Cool. Like, and it was a total compliment. But basically what I'm trying to say there is that I love what I do, and I see so many trainers that are just like boring, man. Like, no enthusiasm, no energy. Like, dude, if you're training, so if someone else is paying to train with you or under your direction, or even in an online format, dude, wake the fuck up. Like, that's number one. And it sounds basic. And number two is never stop learning. So I see a lot of trainers that do a CrossFit certification and then they just shut all the blinders off, right? Or they do their NSCA CPT exam and they just shut everything else off. Or they find one method of training and they never look back. And I think what sets me apart is that I consciously went on a quest to do functional fitness, to do powerlifting, to do Olympic lifting, to do speed work, to train like an athlete. I did all these different type of things so I could actually have a real conversation with someone from a different perspective and not just feed them my limited amount of knowledge, but feed them an expansive experience. So awesome question on that. Number 24 is, what's the best way to get body fat tested? Sorry, just looking at a couple questions. Okay, what's the best way to get body fat tested? Yeah, this is a big one. To be honest, I think most people, actually I know most people, including probably myself, underestimate their body fat, right? So they think they're lower than they actually are. And so I've done everything. I've done people with calipers. I have $500 calipers in my office right now. I've done the electrical stuff. I actually have BOD Pod coming up. I've done the water testing. I mean, I've done everything. And to be honest, most of those are just pure horseshit. Most trainers don't really, calipers are really tough to work. Like that requires years of learning. And I'm probably like decent at it. I'm not elite at it. Like I need like 1,000 more people to test for calipers. So, I would say BodPod is your best option, just based on the research that I've done. That's going to be the best. The electric stuff is pure bullshit. You stand on a scale and it spits out a number. Like, dude, you might as well just be just throwing numbers in the air. So try out the BodPod. Really, what you want to do is like do 3 of these. So schedule a BodPod, schedule a calipers, and I think those 2 are fine. I don't think you need to do a third. And you'll know when you get retested, if they're both going down, you're getting results, right? What happens is that people do the calipers with a trainer who has no idea what he's doing, and then they never like schedule it again because the trainer's scared shitless that maybe their body fat went up and all that stuff. And I've seen this. I've had gym owners tell me they make up numbers to people just to mentally make sure they don't freak out. So if you're serious about it, I think you should get tested every quarter at least, just to see where you are. I think it's healthy to know where you are. Go for the BodPod, and I'll be next time I do a webinar, I'll let you know how my experience went. Question number 25. Last question before we open it up. I know I'm running a little bit over 4:58 right now. We'll be done by 5:05. Do group classes really work for long-term results? And I will say yes and no. So it depends on what your definition of results are. I think group classes are amazing for community building. I think they're great for accountability, just showing up. But I think there's a lot of flaws in it. And depending on what your ultimate goal is, like they could be a great place to either start or spend the rest of your fitness kind of time doing. I personally, my philosophy is not embedded in a 40-person group class. It just isn't, but it doesn't mean it can't work for you. So at the end of the day, if it's something you enjoy or seeing results and having fun with in fitness, dude, stick with that shit. Like, why change it up? I think there's a specific amount of the population that is goes through an evolution where they start out looking for fitness, but then it turns into performance, and that's when I feel like you need more of an individualized program. And at the end of the day, not everyone also fits an individualized program, right? Like, not everybody needs it. Simple workouts can get you results depending on where you are. So that's my long way of answering number 25. And yeah, guys, we made it happen. So I answered 25, and I wanted to just, if there's anything else, I know a couple people had to sign off, but still got some people in here. If there's any other questions, I'll take about 20 seconds and let you guys type anything in, anything else you got, and we'll go from there. So if you have one, just type that into the question box. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Pull this up. I lost the questions. Let's see if I can get it back. All right, we got nothing. All good. I think I went through a lot, and I don't want to. I'm really a stickler for how much time I spend on stuff. So I am going to wrap up with a couple slides. But why is everybody failing? Like, why is fitness such confusing? Fitness and performance and all that so confusing. And I'll have you consider 5 reasons, and it's stuff that I mentioned, but lack of outcomes. So if we don't know what we want and what the goal is, then how can anyone hold us accountable, including ourselves? Number 2, lack of knowing like what you want, like what is the goal? 3, lack of knowledge and action steps. Like, once you have the goal, okay, cool. So you want to deadlift double body weight. So you're a guy, you want to deadlift double wide body weight. Let's say you're 200 pounds. You want to deadlift 400, and you want to do a 2K in under 7:10. How the hell are you going to get there? So number 3 is lack of knowledge and just action steps. Like, how do you build a program that addresses those two things? Do you go for the deadlift first? Do you go for the conditioning first? Do you do a mix? How do you test it? All that stuff. And number 4 is just misinformation, right? There's, like I said earlier, I said I'll never stop learning, but at the same time, I've stopped listening to everybody. So because I've crafted my own programs and I've seen what works for me, so I've had to just zone out some people because I've spent enough time with people that I trust to just listen to them. So misinformation is a big one. And then last is like the why. Again, like, why are you training? Why are you getting up? So as I said earlier, I did want to extend an opportunity, and pretty blunt about this. My Catalyst training program is a 90-day program. It's a 90-day challenge, which really addresses 3 what I call leaks for long-term fitness results. And they're the axis, so access to the truth, access to what works, the accountability, someone actually holding you accountable. Accountability for me is the biggest thing in fitness. I have certifications like down the line, and I've mentored and trained with the best of the best. But guess what? I still have a coach. Is that because I don't know what to do? No. Is that because I won't do the work? No. That's because I need somebody else to see what I truly need in a training program and to hold me accountable, right? Because if it was just me, I'll do all the stuff I love: deadlift, rowing, sprinting, but I won't work my weaknesses as much, even inherently knowing what I know. And then lastly, like I said earlier, the action steps and the blueprints. So if you're interested in jumping on board, I don't work with a lot of people, and I definitely don't work with anyone that needs their hand held. And obviously, virtual coaching requires a certain amount of not only dedication, but just mindset, because physically I'm not seeing you all the time. And it's for action takers as well. So people who are just ready to kind of jump all in and commit to 90 days of massive progress. So if any of this resonated with you, if you have any questions on it, or if this last bit resonated with you, jump on over to www.sisucatalyst.com. There's an application form there. You'll fill it out. We'll get on a call, and we'll see if you're going to be a fit, possibly if you're a fit, and kind of what the next steps on there are. And one last thing. So I just want to thank you for spending an hour of your time, which is your most valuable resource and my most valuable resource, learning something new. And hopefully you got one takeaway from this that will either motivate you, inspire you, help you out with some of the stuff that you have going on in your fitness and nutrition and lifestyle. And you can take that and run with it. So just as a reminder, no matter where you are right now, like, you have the power. You have the power to choose what you want with your physical body, and you can't get it. And the reason I leave off with this note is that I've been called to inspire people to create change. And I've been called to transform people's lives through fitness. And it sounds cliche, but I've done it so many times on such a deep level that I just want you to know that no matter where you are right now, you can do it and you can make it happen. All right. And that's what I want to leave you guys with. That's all I got for you today. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you for being interactive. And I appreciate it. We did have one last question that I didn't get to from Derek. What are the challenges you have faced with remote coaching? I wonder if you mean that from a I'll just answer it. Remote coaching is it's different. It's I think the biggest challenge is, lack of just physically, because I've trained with so many people in person that there's definitely a connection there that is special. But I don't think in this world with remote coaching, I don't think it's something that's that can't be overcome. You just got to get creative with the way you do it. I think the biggest challenge is that I can't physically fix people in the moment, which, coaching and cueing is an art and a science as is. So that's probably the biggest thing. As I said, it takes someone who's a little bit more developed, in my opinion, or it could be someone super new. But the prescription has to be super simple. So appreciate it, Derek. Appreciate you jumping on today, and appreciate your question earlier about the training. Let me know if you have a test coming up, and I'd love to help you kind of strategize and map it out, whether it's a 300 FY or 500 meter row. But that's all I got for you today, guys. Thank you for hopping on. Have a kick-ass rest of your day. If you have any questions, just reach out to me. And if you want to hop on at www.sisukatalyst.com, doing some great things over there. I'm out. This is going to be a recording of this. I'll send it over to you guys when it's done. And thanks for jumping on.